Welcome to Holy Grit Leadership That Lasts, the podcast for leaders who are done with fluff and hungry for depth. Hey, listen, if you're looking for more than just quick wins and shallow strategies in leadership, you're in the right place. We're talking bold, ethical, and effective leadership fueled by timeless truth from scriptures and built to withstand the pressure of the real world. Okay, now listen. Whether you're leading a church, running a business, managing a team, or just trying to hold your life together on Monday morning, Holy Grit Leadership is here to help you lead with courage, clarity, and conviction. Listen, this isn't your grandma's Bible study, unless she was a total boss. Let's dig in, let's lead well, let's build some leadership that lasts. What's up, everybody? You're listening to Holy Grit Leadership That Lasts. I'm Gene.
I'm Matt.
And we are ready to deliver some morsels of awesomeness.
Yeah,
We're here to pump
you up.
Well, it's about as corny as we get.
Yeah.
I'm just joking. We get real cornier. And so we are on episode 9, just so you know, Matt.
That's crazy.
Yeah, how to grow as a leader when you're focused on growing others. Hey-o.
Yeah.
Are you excited?
I am excited. That's one of my favorite topics. I'm excited for today because, one of the things that I love to do is build up young men, help them to be like this biblical manhood. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Let's be men.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Tote the line. Carry your water.
Yes.
Yeah. Do your job.
Do your job.
Look good, play good, get paid good.
Yeah.
As Prime would say, right? You say it enough to me.
Yeah. Yeah. But you got to do it a little slower so people get the full impact.
All right. Show us how it's supposed to be done.
You look good. You look good, you play good, they pay good. Yeah.
So for all of you paying attention out there, it just takes good looks and, play pretty well, and they're going to pay pretty well.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, what a formula.
Yeah.
What a formula. That's right. And also just be so blessed with genetics where you can play both baseball and football at a top level too. That helps too.
That dude was awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Mm.
So, okay, well, we're going to get started today with our very first segment. This is our second episode of doing your just daily dose of encouragement and hope for you guys. Matt's going to kick us off. Matt, what's been on your heart lately?
Well, I know that there's a lot of people who deal with depression. And so my encouragement today to you is to step out of the cave. That's what Elijah did in 1 Kings. Elijah had just come off this mountaintop experience, literally mountaintop experience, where he defeated the prophets of Baal. And then Jezebel threatens his life, and he runs and he hides in a cave, and he tells God, I'm the only one left, the only prophet, the only one doing your work. And God doesn't scold him. I love it. God passes by in this cave that he's in, and he passes by in this earthquake and this wind and this fire. But it says that God's voice was not in those things. Elijah, he says, step out of the cave. And when Elijah steps out of the cave, God spoke to Elijah in a small whisper. And I just want to speak to you today. I know that some of you deal with depression and hard things maybe in your life. And I just want you to know that God sees you. He knows your situation, and you can trust him. And I want to encourage you to listen to his voice, take a step out of the cave, and trust God. He's got you. He's got a long rope.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And that's just another way of being obedient.
Yeah.
Right? And when you are in the throes of your feelings, when you're in the throes of darkness, when you're in the throes of the spiritual warfare that attacks you, listen to God. Listen to what God has to say. Listen to what the Holy Spirit is convicting you to do, and then do that.
That's the thing is when you are in depression, it's hard to see. It's like you're in this cloud and you can't get out. And that's where Elijah was. He was in a dark, dark cave. And God said, Elijah, step out of the cave. And then God spoke to him. And I'm just inviting you today.
Yes.
Step out of the cave. God wants to speak to you. Listen to his voice.
Absolutely. Step out of the cave and step into the episode 9 of Holy Grit Leadership. How'd you like that transition?
Oh, very good.
And so, guys, today, thank you for that moment of encouragement and hope, guys. as you are, if you're struggling, feel free to reach out to our podcast, and our emails that are attached to this. And so, how to grow as a leader when you're focused on growing others, right?
Mhm.
So often, even as like mom, dad, leader in any sort of business or organization, or someone that's just in it, while you're helping others, while you're constantly growing others, where's the time to improve yourself? Where is it?
Yeah.
Does it exist? Should it exist? And so that's one thing that I want to, kind of kick off right away is, typically the best leaders should be also the best students. So Matt, how do you continue to learn more while you're growing your church, while you're growing your leadership team, your deacons team, your elders team, the mentorship? How do you continue to learn?
Yeah, specifically, we have to be readers. We have to be readers. The thing is, you've got to read more than your team reads. That's just the truth of it. You may not like to read, but there's a lot of great stuff out there on leadership and maybe the specific thing that you're in. For me, it's being a pastor. There's a lot of great books out on leadership. Larry Osborne wrote some, obviously John Maxwell. I follow a guy now called, his name's Joby Martin. This guy's a pastor down in South Carolina.
His first name's Joby.
Yeah. He's a manly man. I'm telling you.
Talking about.
Yeah, no, he's
shout out Joby.
Yeah. But I listen to some of his stuff and there's just some really good stuff out there. So you have to be learning, reading, listening to podcasts. This is a great way. What you're doing right now is you're growing your leadership skills and some of the things. And hopefully we're not taking you backwards, but we're helping you forward.
Surely not.
Yeah. The other way that I do that is you go to conferences. You learn a lot at these conferences and you take home some of those things and apply them to your leadership. It's good stuff.
And I want everyone to kind of listen. Matt gave you a good list of things that you can do to grow, but it takes intentional action. It takes, a verb. It takes reading. It takes going. It takes listening. And, too often we get so bogged down and too tired at the end of the day to say, all right, where's the time for my growth?
Yeah.
And that's one of the first points that I had written down with this is the best leaders grow through reflection. So are you reflecting on your day and saying, okay, I really helped, everyone out today. I was the best, point guard where I was giving assists all over the place. But when did I take my shot? When did I go after, my own development? And if you can't honestly say, I didn't do it today. I didn't do it this month. I didn't do it this year. Then you're not growing as a leader, and it does take intentional action.
Yeah, it does. The thing on you said about reflecting, I think it's important to say that we shouldn't continually dwell on our failures.
Yes. Yeah.
We want to be looking for those things that we're like, yes, that was really awesome. But I know for myself, one of my struggles is that I tend to dwell on the misses, and we can't dwell on the shots that we missed. Every shot we take is an opportunity for the ball to go in the hole.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And so every shot we don't take is a missed opportunity. So don't beat yourself up for taking a shot.
Yeah, and sometimes you can get burnt out. So, hand up time, all right? Yeah. I have read so many leadership books that, then I'm just reluctant to grab the next one, because I'm like, it says the same thing. But really, to be honest, if you're really in it for the right reasons, it's not necessarily always about what's said. It's the inspiration that you grab from what's said.
Yeah.
And that is a big element, is a lot of growing yourself while you're growing others is where are you pulling from inspiration from? And, hopefully it's this podcast. You're just, you're blown away with inspiration.
When's the next pump you up?
Yeah. But it could be, all right, I'm going to sit down and read a book. I have no idea if it's good or not. But if you go in with the mentality of, I'm going to get something from this.
Yeah.
And you're thinking about it, you're not distracted. If it's listening to a podcast, even this podcast today, I want to get something from this podcast. And I'm going to focus on what they're saying, how they're saying it. And it might be even, I don't want to do it that way, but I want to do it this way.
Yeah.
And where you pull from your inspiration. So the best leaders tend to grow through reflection.
Yeah.
And that is, I read something, I reflect about it. I listen to something, I reflect about it. I go to something, I reflect about it. Because how many of us are guilty of going to a conference and maybe doing other things like other work while we're at the conference, helping others still, instead of shutting it down
Yeah.
and saying, this is for my growth and development. This is for me to get better.
Mm-hmm.
Because I will tell you, a lot of times I'm at a conference and my phone is constantly ringing off the hook. The emails are pouring in.
Yes.
And I'm trying to answer, I'm trying to help. And so great leaders will pause and then they will reflect on their own growth.
I think they'll prioritize. Sometimes your reflection is more important than you responding to the email.
Yeah.
And I think we have to prioritize some of these things. Otherwise, it becomes chaos. And a good leader is always out in front of that stuff. He's like, okay, this is something I have to respond to. This is something that I can let go till tomorrow. And you have to recognize those things.
Okay, as a pastor, tell me if this is a stretch, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the way I look at this is Jesus, he was healing others. He spent all day, healing everyone, healing the sick. But then he also retreated to talk to God.
He often withdrew to lonely places.
And to make sure that he was talking to the Father. And that is for, when we do that, that is for us as well as for others, but it's primarily, to get in line and in rhythm with Christ.
Yeah.
And so, I hope that's not too much of a stretch to kind of adjust here, but you have to be able to withdraw.
Yeah. It's how God made us. Like we're made to move and then rest. And that's just the way it worked. God created. And then on the seventh day, the first day, he rested.
Yeah.
And so that's just how we're made. And if we buck that, we really are pushing against, what God designed our bodies to be able to handle, our minds to be able to handle, our emotions to be able to handle. I know that when I push forward and I haven't taken rest or reflection or just time away, that it has cost me because I'm extra tired. You saw this Tuesday morning.
Oh, you guys should have seen Matt. It was a sight to see. He was so tired leading our morning 6:30 Bible study that I thought he was having a stroke. He was slurring his words and that's the way that, Jesus did it. And so I was like, are you okay? He's like, I'm sorry, I'm tired. So,
yeah, because that's what tired does. It affects our performance. And you want to be at your best. I'm at my best after I'm rested. Like I've reflected, I've rested, I've enjoyed, and then I move forward into what God has.
So take this it's a bit extreme, and not everyone gets to do this, but tell me a little bit more about your sabbatical that you took, right? That was for your own growth and development. Mm-hmm. And so tell us a little bit about that.
For rest.
Right.
Yeah. I think we don't realize how hard we press on until we get that opportunity. And I'm so blessed to have a church and an elders board who said, Matt, we recognize that you need to do this. And so I'm telling you, for those first 2 weeks, I didn't realize how tired I was. I probably slept for 4 days.
Wow.
It was crazy. And then finally by week 2, I was starting to recharge. And so you really need to pay attention to your body, and you need to have daily rhythms of rest. Not everybody gets the sabbatical.
Right.
Right. And so you do need that rhythm of rest in your life. Otherwise you're going to get like that. And I was trying to rest, but our church is growing very fast. It's quick. And so we're going through growing pains. We're having this and that. And I'm involved. And so it's a good problem, but at the same time, it's a problem. If you don't take care of yourself, you're going to burn out.
And we say this a lot. We talk a lot about rhythms, but it's really important to get into that routine and those rhythms for your own growth, right? If you're not taking time in, for Christians, I will tell you, just in life in general, if you're not taking time to talk to the Father,
Mm-hmm.
your rhythms are thrown off.
Yeah.
If you're not taking time to focus on your health, things that allow the body, the temple that God gave you to function at its,
Mm-hmm.
at its peak, we can't all just be the the person that wakes up 7 days a week and does the perfect workout, eats the perfect food. I'm not talking
Well,
about that.
yeah.
Other than Prime Junior over here. Okay.
Yeah, you look good. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. You rhythm well.
Yeah.
But what I want to say is when you're growing people, and what an amazing blessing it is to have the
Mhm.
opportunity to even grow others, but you have to be willing to recognize when you're getting out of your rhythm.
Yeah.
Growing you so much that I'm forgetting about my own growth.
And we're talking about leading other people to be the best they can be. And whether we like it or not, we're reproducing ourselves. So if we're going to be leaders who charge ahead and never take those daily rhythms of rest, guess what our team's going to be like? Whether we tell them to or not,
Yeah.
like, you guys have to take a rest, but if we don't, they're going to say, well, he doesn't, so I can't.
Right.
And
You're not modeling well.
you're reproducing yourself.
Yeah.
And so to lead well, you have to lead well in an example.
So a story I want to share is, so I'm now in year 5 of being a superintendent. In the first 4 years, so all the way up to this year, I had my mind wrapped around helping every single person in our organization to the point to where,
And how
to
many
be
people
honest,
is that?
150 employees.
Mm-hmm.
From our custodians to the paras to the teachers, and then even extended out to the parents, to where this was the first year that I started to look at myself and say, wow, I'm out of rhythm. I hadn't worked out in over a year.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't read a single leadership book in over a year. I hadn't listened to a podcast of anything. I was solely focused on making sure everything was working perfectly in our organization. We kind of had one of the weirdest bumps and bruises of this last year in our organization. And a lot of that was because I wasn't at all focused on my own growth. And so at the end of the last year, I made a decision, and I hope that you guys can make these decisions. And I didn't get a sabbatical, but what I did do is I said, I'm going to be intentional about, I need to focus on refreshing my own leadership philosophy, because this can't continue. I was losing steam. I was losing passion because I was so focused on helping others, which is such a virtuous thing to do. I don't want to make it sound like helping others is a bad thing.
But it can become,
and it was, and I started to just lose that, not my purpose or drive, but I started to lose the enjoyment into my position. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to adjust my schedule. I'm going to focus on my fitness. I'm going to sleep a little bit longer. I'm going to spend a little bit more time with my family, and I'm going to dive in. This is how this podcast actually is. I want to enjoy talking about leadership again. I want to learn from others such as yourself in conversations where it's not just about me and my organization and what we're doing and how I'm helping. It's about refreshing my purpose with what we want to do and how we want to grow. And so I was at that point. And if you're at that point where all you've been focusing on is everyone else, and which again is commendable, and you haven't even thought, and you've lost even inspiration and influence on how you can improve, then this episode is right in your alley, because I was right there. Yeah, and I went through it for 4 years where finally, after this year, I was like, I got to do something to get back into just enjoying this part of the leadership.
Yeah.
And so kind of the way of growing, I needed that feedback, Matt. And so how do you get feedback, and who gives it to you in your leadership when you're growing?
Okay. Well, I think there has to be 2 different kinds of feedback. First of all, you have your colleague feedback, where those who are over you or a board or something is like, hey, you seem a little out of balance, and we can honestly be real with you and say, we need to get this back into focus. And I had that on our elders team at the time. Matt Dupierre was on there, and he leads our men's ministry. And he said, Matt, you're not doing well. He goes, we need to refocus you on, so that, you're running a marathon, not a sprint. We want to get you to the end. And so it was such a blessing to have that. But you also have to have colleagues. In other words, people who are, like you and I, we collaborate, we
Yes.
talk, we listen to each other, we have the freedom to speak truth to each other. So you got to be a good golfer friend.
Yeah.
That's what you've got to be, and you've got to have friends that you can go golfing with and say, hey, I want to run something by you. Yeah, this has really been hard for me. I think you have to have those relationships, and you have to be intentional about those relationships. I have another pastor in Kearney,
Yep.
Adrian Boykin, who he and I we collaborate.
You have to be able to lean on those people.
Yeah, and then I like to win, and so I like to play golf to win, and so I
Sure
think,
you do.
Yeah.
He's trying to reference our last episode of golfing where
Well,
I gave him a stroke of hold and then he beat me. So
we didn't have to share that part.
we
I
didn't
think
have to share. We speak truth in this podcast.
Oh, okay. Well, yes, but I am like almost 50 years old. I'm 49.
He's super old. Yeah,
Super old.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Still learning, still
With the
growing.
body of a 25.
Amen. And look at you. You're part of this podcast. I mean,
Yeah.
that kind of goes to show you a little bit. I mean, I'm blowing smoke a little bit at you, but I will tell you that the fact that you're willing in this late into your career and your leadership to be willing to say, I want to grow. I want to get better. I want to talk to this young, strapping 38-year-old guy that's handsome as all get out, that puts me to shame.
Yeah.
The fact that you're willing to do that and to, allow me to be in your inner circle just shows the type of leader that you are, right? You're not afraid to get advice from a 38-year-old kid, type of thing.
Yeah.
You're not afraid to lean on another pastor. You don't have that ego where you're a pastor. I'm competing against you, type of thing. Yeah. You need a bar stool to sit on. And, that usually consists of 2 or 3 legs, right?
You're right.
Well, not 2. That's a bad bar
How
stool.
about let's go to the golf course. Yeah. So you need a golf course to play on.
Yeah, you need that venture. And so leaning on others and getting that feedback, for me, the feedback is I have a board that's made up of these amazing people that want to see our school district thrive, but they don't necessarily know education, right? They don't necessarily know that level of leadership. So they give me great advice and give me a good guidance and beacon, but I do have to rely on other superintendents. I have to rely on you to say, hey, how's this coming off? And those other people give you perspective.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. And that perspective is huge in being able to grow yourself as you're getting going. So if you have someone that you are relying on, make sure to thank them and then to continue to try to grow your circle. It's not a bad thing.
Intentional too about it though. Like ask those hard questions. And it's like Gene comes to me and he does his presentations and I give him honest feedback on those. And there are times when I've done the same. And it's such a blessing to be able to talk to somebody who is for you and knows is for your organization and wants to see you thrive and succeed, but also is willing to give you honest feedback.
Yes.
And that's not criticism. It's not harsh. It's like, hey, I don't think this sits real with me, but I want you to think about this.
And it's where their heart's at, right? If when you give and you request feedback from someone where you don't know where their heart is coming from, then you always have to have a little bit of a guard up. But when you find people that you get feedback from that their heart's in the right spot. Just, like you would, from the Holy Spirit. When their heart's in the right spot, that feedback is just, it's gold.
It's huge.
It's gold. And so when we're talking about just, leadership development and growing yourself, do you allocate time just in your regular rhythms, since we talk a lot about rhythms, for yourself to grow? And if so, like when and how often do you do that?
Yeah, so the answer is primarily yes. There's obviously seasons where we get really busy and we don't. But the time that I allocate is primarily in reading leadership type books. One of my passions is to see churches grow. And so I read a lot of books around that, like revival, history of revival, but also leadership that will help me to be a person who leads that. And so I want to know, like, what are these guys doing? How did this all happen? And so yes, I allocate time for reading, and I also make sure I go to a couple conferences every year that help me to grow personally.
Yes.
And it's not just about the church. It may have something to do, obviously, with my faith.
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily geared towards here's how you help your church grow. This is how I help Matt.
Yeah.
And so that's what I try to look at some of those, because if I'm not growing, again, my team is not growing, and we have to be intentional about those things.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm actually, trying to debate between going to 2 different conferences. I have an option of in November. One of them is for my personal growth. One would be for the church. And so, yeah, I'm trying to weigh that one out.
And it's a good balance, and that's something that you can think about too, is what are my regular rhythms for personal growth? Is it once a week? Is it once a month? Is it once a year? The frequency is something that you want to try to increase, but everyone has a different position. Everyone has a different role. Everyone has a different job. So what one job allows you to do in one way, another one doesn't. But I will tell you, there are always creases that you can find.
Oh,
There's always something, for me, I like to get to work about 7:30, right? I ship my kids off they go with me, say, all right, you go to the cafeteria, have some breakfast, talk to your buddies. And between 7:30 and 8:15 every morning is my time to really focus on where I need to be today to get better. And so it's not necessarily I'm learning to develop, but it's just a time to focus on what are some things that I know that I've just been lacking, right? It's the time before I start. It's that reflection time. And so, like I said, the best leaders will grow through reflection. And if you're not dedicating a time to reflect on what's been lacking, what's been going well, who needs attention, who needs more attention than the regular person, then that's a tough thing to do. Okay. So another point I want to make is the best leaders will take risks into the unknown. You don't know if if this will help until you give it a try. So what I'm going to ask all of you to do is give a podcast a try, give a book a try, give a conference a try, give a coffee out with someone who you think is an amazing person.
Yeah.
And say, hey,
somebody who's been there and done that.
I'd like to just sit down and talk with you.
With that, I want to ask you a question that you didn't expect me to ask.
Okay.
Okay. Well, if you could go back and talk to your younger self, let's say while you were a principal before you became a superintendent, what's a couple of things that you would share with yourself that would help you to maybe be a better leader earlier?
Oh, that's a really good one. One thing that came right to my mind right away is be ready to have thick skin. Don't care so much about what everyone thinks on every decision, every minute of every day. When I started, and I don't know if you're like me, when you start in leadership, it was, oh my gosh, if I make this decision, who's going to think what? How are they going to think? What are they going to say? What are they going to do? And if I could go back and talk to my younger self, I would say, listen, you don't need to worry about that as much.
Right.
That's something that you can get past, and it does. Time heals those things, and they're afterthoughts. And I can't even tell you within the first 2 years, on one hand, who thought what about any decision I made, because it all worked out, right?
Yeah.
And it all passed. And so I spent a lot of countless time and sleepless nights thinking about what everyone thought about me. And that also drained on my leadership growth, because as I should have been focusing on, how can I continue to push and grow, foot on the gas and grow, I was thinking about, well, what does this person think of me? Do they like me? Am I doing a good job? I almost felt like a really bad boyfriend, that was matched up with this girl. I was like, do you like me, or do you still love me? Do you, do you still love me? And I felt that way a lot of the times in my beginning of my career. What about you?
Well, first of all, those are the kind of morsels that we'll get when we're intentional about meeting with people who've been there and done that.
Yes.
One of the most valuable things in my leadership development was sitting down with some older gentleman who is a pastor, and I've done this with several of them. There's some great just saints, men of God who've been there and done that. Some of them led churches of 20, some of them led churches of thousands. But I had the opportunity, and when I had the opportunity, I took the opportunity. And I would ask one primary question is that question is
Yeah.
actually, what would you say to your younger self?
That's a
Because
good
you
one.
get a lot of morsels of like really good stuff. I've learned a lot from older pastors that said, I would have not done this. Or I
Yes.
would have done
That's so
this.
good.
And so find somebody who's in your position, who's been there and done that, and ask them those hard
And
questions.
ask them that question
Yeah.
specifically. How much, can you really glean from that? That's a lot, because someone who's already paved the way and done it similarly, not everyone does it the same way,
Yeah.
but very similarly,
Yeah.
they're going to be able to tell you their pitfalls and what
Sure.
they wish they would have done, just like you said. And that's an amazing bit of advice. That's why you listen to our podcasts, is for
Yeah.
most of the gems come from me, but every now and then they do come
Yeah.
from Matt.
Well, to answer your question, what would I say
Yeah.
to myself is to trust in the grace of God. I was trusting in my own abilities and my gifting so much at times that I just kind of ran God over, or I got ahead of him. And I needed to learn to wait and to trust. And so I think that is for most leaders, that's a tendency we all have, is to run ahead. And we need to be very intentional and careful about the steps that we take.
Yeah.
They're right steps often, but sometimes we take them too quickly. And so I think I would have woed myself back
Yeah.
quite a bit in a few specific situations. The word wait was something I needed to.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's big time. And I really like that you said it, to trust,
Mhm.
and because sometimes you're in a position where, if you were like me, you were doing everything for everybody, but there
Yeah.
were other people in the positions that could also help, but you just never gave that up to them.
And you're not allowing them to be the leaders that God has called them to be. We have to
Right.
steward their leadership.
Yep.
Like that Larry Osborne says, let the young eagles fly. And so,
Caw.
yeah, it's
Amen.
like
Absolutely.
the older eagles showing the younger eagles how to do it, and then getting out of the way so the younger eagles can fly and do their thing. We got to have the young eagles fly.
And that's
Yeah.
one thing I've learned now, starting year 5. This is the first time I have given a lot of responsibility to our administration and said, hey, I trust you to be able to do this. If you need my help, I'm here.
Yeah.
But I want you to be able to tackle a lot of these things that help grow others. Because, to be honest, I was 4 years in, and I was still knee deep in making sure everyone fit, and making sure everyone was happy, making sure every problem was solved. And I had a whole team of people, man. I had a whole team, and I didn't utilize them the way I should. And so this year is that year of growth for me. But all that growth came from me stepping back.
Yeah.
Just like you talked about. That growth came from me reflecting. That growth came from me taking a risk in this podcast and saying, I want to do something to grow myself. Let's do it this way. And so that's going to lead me to my next point to all of you, is don't forget, small stacking of growth can lead to big improvements. You don't have to grow your skills in just one conference, in just one book, in just one podcast. Growing takes time. And if you continually put deposits into your own growth, you're going to have a pretty big bank account.
Yeah.
And that's what we want, right? Because I thought, well, once a year, every summer, I'm going to take one vacation for 1 week, and that's going to be fine. That's all I need. And, some people can really grind and grit that out. That was something that was slowly killing me, right? And being able to take small advantages on a weekly or monthly basis of things, you've got to be able to do to grow yourself.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're hurting your team. Hurting yourself and your team. And the team that has rhythms, like it's like the boat that's navigating the waters really, really well, versus the boat that's just getting smashed by the waves over and over and over again. The boat that's handling those rhythms and those waves, you can just see it, right? It's like a dolphin going over, and it's healthy and it's smooth. But the rough stuff comes when we try to really do it ourselves and gut things out. And
well, even here's a better analogy for you. Like, think of the flying bee, the flock of geese, right?
Yeah.
You do take you do take the leadership role, being in the front. where you're doing a lot. You don't have wind resistance, but then you eventually float back to the back and you lead from back there for a while. And then sometimes you lead from the middle, and then eventually sometimes you're back up in the front. Right. But it's those rhythms of understanding that there will be certain seasons, but you can't stay in the front the whole time. Otherwise you'll die. You'll fall right out of the sky. If I am so bold to use like a geese, wildlife analogy.
You're not a hunter, dude.
I'm not. Well, that's why I love the geese. I've never hurt one of them. Unlike many of you hunters before.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think anybody's going to hold that against you, but yeah, we do root for the Huskers.
And speaking of, I'm going to ask you right here and now, okay, who's going to be in the Super Bowl this year?
Well, I would love to say the Broncos, but I don't think so.
Okay, who do you think? What's your Super Bowl prediction? We're going to do this on episode 9.
You kind of threw this.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to just make you say something. You're not we can reevaluate when we're in September and October.
Out of the AFC, definitely the Buffalo Bills.
Okay.
It's their year.
Yep. I agree. Josh Allen.
The NFC is where I'm struggling, but I'm just I'm going to go Philadelphia.
Yep. Okay, so I'm real close. I'm going to have a rematch.
Okay.
So I'm going to go Chiefs and Eagles.
Okay.
So that's where I think Kansas City's got a better offensive line. They're good. They're ready. Patty Mahomes is ready to still sound like Kermit the Frog and lead his team right to the championship.
I do like Patrick Mahomes.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
Well, that's what we got for you today. I'm going to end with my daily dose of encouragement segment for you guys. This is such an important segment to me because sometimes I'm listening and I'm searching. And I want you to know it's okay to take the next step in your life. Whether it's a small step or a giant one, it's okay to step out in faith and courage and just do it. Whether you're debating on starting a workout plan, having a hard conversation with someone, beginning a project that you've been putting off. Listen, a body at rest will stay at rest. So it's time to wake up your inner sleeping giant and move. And that's what my hope is for all of you. We all have something we've been putting off. We all have something we've been avoiding. We all have something that we haven't quite done just because we're a little scared or nervous, or we don't know if we have the energy or the time. I'm just telling you to get started. Take a small step towards that. Do the first workout tomorrow. Do the first conversation of many that you might have to have. Maybe it's a conversation you need to have with your child. Maybe it's a conversation you need to have with a friend. Or maybe it's something that you need to do to grow yourself. That's my daily dose of encouragement for you guys. We hope you enjoyed episode 9. Matt, any parting gifts for everybody?
No, it's just awesome that we have some people that really watch us faithfully. Thank you guys. And we hope that you're getting something out of this. And we love doing this. It's a lot of fun for me.
And if you can, please like, subscribe, and put all the butterfly buttons on there.
Yeah.
Give us a 5-star review.
Or me, at least. Maybe
mention Matt a lot in that 5-star review.
Yeah, definitely.
He needs a little bit of encouragement himself to know that he's doing A-okay. So thanks again. Hey, thanks for listening to our podcast today. If you would like, please subscribe, rate, review, give us all the butterflies you can. We appreciate you. Thank you, and God bless.